We grow up with a story, not always spoken but deeply felt, that somewhere out there is someone who will complete us. This myth runs deep, echoing through fairy tales, films, and ancient philosophies. Plato spoke of it, that we were once whole beings, split in two, forever searching for our other half. Carl Jung offered a psychological interpretation of this longing. He called it the pull of the Anima and Animus, the inner feminine in a man, and the inner masculine in a woman. According to Jung, these figures live in the unconscious and shape what we desire, how we love, and who we're drawn to. Often we think we fall in love with a person, but we fall in love with a reflection of our soul, our longing, our own unconscious energy. That's why love can feel like fate. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. And yet, this recognition is filtered through centuries of conditioning. We're told what love should look like, how a partner should act, what romance must feel like. This creates unrealistic expectations that no one can fulfill, not even the person we believe is our missing half. When they inevitably disappoint us, we think something's broken, when in fact, it's the illusion that's fading. The myth persists because it's comforting. It gives hope that something or someone will fix the ache we carry. But Jung's work challenges this notion. Wholeness is not found in another. It is found in our own inner integration. The missing half you long for may not be a person at all, but a forgotten part of yourself. And until you turn inward, even the most magical relationship will feel incomplete. Jung believed that every psyche carries both masculine and feminine energies, not in terms of gender, but in terms of archetypal qualities. For a man, the inner feminine is called the anima, intuitive, emotional, nurturing, mysterious. For a woman, the inner masculine is the animus, logical, decisive, assertive, driven. These figures form in the unconscious through early experiences, culture, family dynamics, and media. If left unconscious, they don't stay dormant, they project. We begin to seek, outside of ourselves, what actually belongs to our own inner landscape. A man may feel inexplicably drawn to a woman who embodies the mystery and tenderness his own anima holds. A woman may fall for a man who appears powerful and focused, a reflection of her own undeveloped animus. But here's the danger. We confuse projection with connection. We think we're falling in love with another, but we're falling in love with a missing piece of ourselves. This is not true intimacy. It's a mirror. The more someone reflects your unconscious material, the more exposed you feel. You're not just getting close to them, you're getting close to yourself. And sometimes, that's terrifying. Integration of the anima or animus requires that we recognize the projection and take it back. Instead of demanding that someone outside of us make us whole, we begin the work of embodying those qualities within. The romantic ideal starts to soften, and a deeper, more conscious form of connection can emerge. Loving another, then, is not about completion, it's about resonance. Two whole beings meeting, not to fill a void, but to share their depths. In Jungian psychology, projection is the act of placing aspects of our unconscious onto others. This happens especially in love. You meet someone and suddenly they feel important. You're drawn to them without logic, without knowing why. They seem to shine with something magical. But in reality, they're reflecting your own inner contents. The anima or animus projection is often mistaken for soulmate energy. But what you're actually seeing is a symbolic image, not the real person in front of you. You idealize them. You overlook red flags. You assign them traits they've never shown. And when they inevitably fail to live up to the ideal, the illusion crumbles, and so does the relationship. You didn't fall out of love. You fell out of projection. This is why so many relationships collapse under the weight of disappointment. Not because the other was inadequate, but because they never were the fantasy to begin with. As Jung put it, we do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. This applies most powerfully in love. You may believe someone has awakened your soul, but what they really did was awaken your unlived life. The parts you repressed, the emotions you buried, the qualities you long to reclaim. And when that mirror shatters, it's not the end of love. It's the beginning of real inner work. This painful moment, when projection breaks, is actually a gift. It allows you to retrieve what you lost in yourself, and to finally see the other as they truly are. This is also why, as we saw in If They Love You, They'll Disappear. Here's why. Real connection often doesn't begin until after the fantasy ends, because only then are you meeting the person, not the image. When we fall in love under the spell of the Anima or Animus, we're not falling for a human being. We're falling for a symbol. That symbol may carry mystery, tenderness, power, creativity, whatever we have yet to embrace in ourselves. It feels electric, even spiritual, but it is not yet love. It's a projection seeking integration. You might say, I feel like I've known them forever. That's because, in a sense, you have. They mirror something ancient in your soul. They awaken archetypal energy, the universal forms of longing, wholeness, union. It's not about them. It's about what they represent. This is why we sometimes obsess over people we barely know. It's not their personality that enchants us. It's their symbolism. They become the canvas for our deepest yearnings, our inner narratives, our forgotten desires. And as long as we stay in that projection, we don't truly see them, nor do we allow ourselves to be seen. We relate through fantasy, not intimacy. We fall in love with an inner figure wearing someone else's face. But symbols are not sustainable substitutes for connection. Eventually, reality intrudes. The real person emerges, with flaws, contradictions, limitations, and we feel betrayed. Not because they changed, but because they were never who we imagined. To love consciously, we must descend from the archetype into the human. We must trade the glowing symbol for the imperfect person, and meet them, not as saviors, but as fellow seekers. That's when the soul work begins. The Anima and Animus are not meant to remain projections. Their true purpose is to lead us inward, toward integration. When we meet someone who activates these energies, it's a signal, not to pursue them blindly, but to explore what within us has been disowned or undeveloped. For a man enchanted by the mysterious, emotional pull of a woman, the question becomes, how can I embody my own sensitivity, creativity, or inner life? For a woman drawn to a man's strength or clarity, the question becomes, where is my own assertiveness, direction, or independence? Instead of chasing the qualities we crave, we're called to cultivate them. This is what Jung meant by individuation, becoming a whole self by reconciling our inner opposites. And it's not easy. It requires breaking illusions, sitting with discomfort, and facing the parts of ourselves we've exiled. As painful as it is to lose the fantasy of love, it's even more painful to never evolve. When we refuse to do the inner work, we stay trapped in repetitive patterns, falling in love with the same archetype in different bodies, over and over again. Each time, hoping they'll save us. Each time, ending in disappointment. But when we begin to integrate, something powerful shifts. We no longer seek wholeness through others. We bring wholeness to others. Our relationships stop being rescue missions and become sacred partnerships. Integration doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you love more clearly, more consciously, and with less fear. In this sense, the Anima and Animus are not just inner figures. They are guides. They don't want you to stay in projection. They want you to reclaim what's yours. There's a moment in every deep connection when the dream starts to dissolve. The idealized version of the other fades, and what's left is something far more vulnerable. The truth. You start to see the cracks. You notice the complexity, the contradictions, and they begin to see yours. This is where most relationships either break or deepen. Because now, it's no longer about fantasy. It's about presence. Can you stay when the magic becomes mundane? Can you love someone when they're not reflecting your ideals, but revealing your shared humanity? Real love isn't about finding your missing half. It's about building a bridge between two whole selves. and that bridge can only be built when the projection ends. At this stage, you're asked to let go of the symbolic glow and embrace the reality of the other person. Not a muse, not a savior, not a perfect archetype, but a living, breathing human being, with needs, wounds, insecurities, just like you. And paradoxically, that's when true intimacy begins. The Anima and Animus, once externalized, begin to move inward. They don't disappear. They transform. You start to feel more balanced inside. You don't just admire those traits in others. You live them. What once pulled you outward now grounds you inward. And love, no longer fueled by illusion, becomes a place of honesty, growth, and mutual evolution. As projection fades, something remarkable happens. The other becomes your mirror. Not a fantasy, but a reflection of your inner dynamics. They don't complete you, but they reveal where you're still fragmented. They touch your tenderness, your fears, your unfinished stories. And instead of escaping, you're invited to stay present with it all. This is the sacred discomfort of real relationship. Your partner becomes the surface on which your unconscious writes its unfinished lines. You may feel reactive, misunderstood, even betrayed. But often, it's not them you're fighting. It's the part of yourself that still resists being seen. Carl Jung described this as a confrontation with the shadow through love. It's in the closeness that our masks fall. Not because we want them to, but because intimacy demands it. And that can feel threatening. You might want to retreat, to disappear, to find someone easier. But this is the work. To stand in the mirror, to see what's reflected, and to remain curious instead of judgmental. As we explored in Why They Leave When It Feels Real, many people vanish when this mirror gets too clear. Because to be truly seen is to risk everything. Your persona, your defenses, even your identity. But if you stay, if both of you stay, the relationship becomes a crucible. A place not just of connection, but transformation. And what could be more sacred than that? The real goal of the Anima and Animus is not to lead you into romantic obsession, but toward inner union. It's the alchemical marriage, the merging of opposites within yourself, masculine and feminine, logic and feeling, action and receptivity. When these inner forces are reconciled, something stabilizes inside you. You no longer chase completion in others, because you've begun to embody it within. You make decisions from wholeness, not from emptiness. You love without clinging. You desire connection, not salvation. This is the true beginning of individuation, Jung's path to psychological and spiritual wholeness. And it begins not by avoiding relationships, but by using them as sacred mirrors. The people you're drawn to reveal what you need to reclaim in yourself. And once you've integrated that, your energy shifts. You attract different people. You set better boundaries. You see clearly where before you only saw magic. Your love becomes less about merging and more about relating, not losing yourself in another, but meeting them from your center. Inner union is not an abstract idea. It's felt in your body, it's seen in your relationships, and it radiates through your presence. You become a whole person, not because you found the right partner, but because you became the right home for your own soul. There's a sharp difference between conscious love and archetypal possession. The former is grounded, real, nourishing. The latter is intoxicating, and ultimately destabilizing. When you're possessed by the anima or animus, you're not truly loving. You're under a spell. You're swept away by an archetype, not relating to a person. This can look poetic on the surface. Passionate love, dramatic longing, euphoric highs. But beneath it lies a loss of self. You forget your values, your direction, your voice. You become a satellite orbiting someone else's gravity. And when the illusion breaks, you crash. Jung warned of this possession, especially in people who haven't done the inner work. The anima can enchant a man into fantasy, paralysis, or obsession. The animus can drive a woman into cold detachment or ideological rigidity. In both cases, love is not shared. It's consumed. But when you move toward conscious love, the archetypes no longer control you. They support you. They become inner companions rather than external obsessions. You begin to choose love, not because you're overtaken, but because you are ready. Ready to see, ready to be seen, ready to meet another not as a mirror, but as a mystery. One you'll never fully solve, and don't need to. This is where devotion replaces addiction, where freedom replaces fantasy, and where your soul finally finds what it was always seeking, not a savior, but a sacred mirror. In the end, the journey of Anima and Animus is not about romance. It's about remembering who you are beneath the projections, beneath the longing, beneath the stories of incompleteness. Every person who captivates you is a messenger. They arrive not just to be loved, but to awaken what's unloved in you, to show you what's still missing, not in them, but within. And when you meet them with awareness, the relationship becomes a teacher. Sometimes, that teaching is brief, a spark that reveals a forgotten part of you. Other times, it lasts years, a shared path toward mutual individuation. Either way, love becomes a path, not an escape from yourself, but a return to yourself. And that's what Carl Jung knew, that the greatest love stories are not just about two people, but about the soul's journey toward integration. We are not here to endlessly search for our other half. We are here to become whole, so that love is no longer hunger, but overflow. In Face Your Shadow, Carl Jung's secret to becoming whole, we saw that healing only begins when we reclaim what we project. So, if you find yourself enchanted by someone, pause. Ask not just, who are they, but what part of me are they carrying? Then begin the real work. Not chasing them, but reclaiming yourself. And if this reflection resonated with you, please like the video, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe to The Art of Being. This is not just a channel, it's a journey inward.